It is Thursday, September 8th, 2022. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. Oh, I see what you're doing on this Thursday with that number 9 of the Super Bowl champions.
That's right. NFL season starts today. I haven't focused on that one bit. I've been entrenched in the baseball season, but tonight, rest assured, all eyes will be on the Rams-Bills game. Some are building this up to be, one of the bigger games of the season already.
So it could be the first game and it could be the last game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that'd be something, huh?
Did you text Matthew Stafford or no? Did you let him be? Did you wish him luck on the season? Anything?
A couple days ago, but I know now it's just I let these guys be, man. I don't want anybody bothering them. I didn't like to be bothered when I played, so I get it, man.
Okay. I would like to bother the one fan in San Diego for one of the 3 home run balls that he caught over the last 2 games. I don't think I've ever seen this. This is and dude stood out too. He is strong man.
He's strong man. That's a good way to put it.
He is strong man. If you're that dude, do you run to Vegas? What do you do?
I would get out of that guy's way. My gosh, he's like a boulder out there.
Yeah. Big dude. And he's wearing the glove. You talked about always bringing your glove. Do you think he held on to all 3 balls, or do you think that he gave one away, or what do you think?
It's interesting. I'm looking around his area and the stands. There doesn't seem to be a lot of kids there.
No.
So I don't know if he brought it home for his kids or what he did with them, but that's I'm with you, Chris. Let's go ride with this guy to Vegas. Me, you, him, Vegas, craps table. Who knows what could happen?
Oh gosh, a lot of winning. I smell it.
I never win. I never win.
I
Vegas.
know. That's why they keep building those tall buildings, those pretty hotels out there, because nobody wins. You know who does win? The New York Yankees when they play the Minnesota Twins. Every freaking day. They swept the doubleheader yesterday. Aaron Judge connected for home run number 55 on the season. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hit a grand slam. Garrett Cole struck out a season-high 14. New York continues its dominance over the last 2 decades against the Twins, including the postseason. The Yankees and Twins since 2002 have played 153 games. The Yankees have won 114 of them. Is there such thing as a curse here? Is it just happenstance? What is this? You played in the series.
I always said there's no such thing as a curse. No one gives a shit about this. The teams turn over year after year, so how could it matter to anybody? But the numbers are what they are, Chris. Joe's McFly was throwing out tweets last night saying, I love the Twins. They're always there when we need them. And it really does feel that way. It feels like when the Twins come to town for the Yankees, they're going to get them right. Whether it's Kiner-Falefa, hitting with the bases loaded like he has done all season, hitting the grand slam, or Garrett Cole having a career high in strikeouts. Or getting Oswaldo Cabrera back on track. He was like 0 for 25 and he has the game-winning hit. Everything happens well for the Yankees when they play the Twins, and it's tough. A lot of people in Minnesota point back to the 2009 ALDS when Phil Cuzzi botched the Mauer call down the line. They talk about that. I always liked playing the Yankees, not because they're the Yankees and the pinstripes on stuff, but we played them a lot in the minor leagues coming up. So I was very familiar with the way the organization liked to pitch. I was familiar with the pitchers. I never had a problem playing the Yankees. I was never afraid of the Yankees. But you're right, Chris, I was part of it, and we got our butts kicked all the time. So I started thinking more and more, what's the problem? And I think I figured it out.
What?
When's the last time the Twins had a true ace on their staff? Let me see what you think.
Yep. Johan Santana.
It's Johan Santana. And I asked a couple of my Twins buddies what they thought as well. Johan Santana. That's crazy to me. That's how things like this happen. And that's why the Twins have kind of been, for lack of a better term, mid for a long time, because you have to have starting pitching in this game, and we just haven't had it in Minnesota. Since the early 2000s? It's crazy.
But that even that doesn't explain the disparity. It just doesn't. I can't figure this one out for the life of me. It's like we laugh about it, when they play in the regular season. We're like, aha, it's the Twins-Yankees series again. And then the Twins are kind of interesting. And there have been some really good Twins teams in recent years. Didn't they have one that won 100 games a couple of years ago? And they still couldn't freaking beat the Yankees. Like, there's 0 sense. I could throw whatever numbers I want at you. They even walked Judge 4 times in the doubleheader, 3 intentionally. They obviously, Rocco Baldelli was listening to this show, and it still didn't work.
Didn't matter.
So there's 0 explanation. It's funny because as a fan, you sit there and you're like, yeah, we've got a shot. I can't imagine. The only thing I can equate it to, the Browns lost the first 17 games they ever played at Old Three Rivers Stadium against the Steelers. I think from 1969 until 1986, they lost every game there. And so as I was growing up, I knew we weren't going to win. And then we finally won. I was like, this is weird.
I don't know what we can do, Chris. I honestly, again, like it's different players year after year. This isn't the same roster just getting beat down, but same result.
Sonny Gray and Nestor Cortez tonight in the Boogie Down as the Yankees go for the 4-game sweep. Cards, huge win for them last night, even though they're waltzing now to the NL Central crown. But
Sure.
I thought this was really a good effort for them. Down 5-1 going in the 9th. They put up a 5 spot. Tommy Edman ends up winning it all. Walk-off double. Is St. Louis the team that has the best chance to be this year's Braves? And I'm not talking about a team that wins it all. I'm talking about a team that when we go into the playoffs is kind of at the back of the pack out of the dozen playoff teams we're going to have. But all of a sudden they hit the gas and they go.
I think they've already surpassed that. They're not back of the pack of the playoff teams. I mean, they're 5 and 5.5 games back of the Mets and the Braves for the second seed in the NL. After the game yesterday, that's all the people Arenado wanted to talk about, Edmund wanted to talk about. They're like 9.5 games up on the division. We don't even care about that anymore. Sure, we want to win that, but we're focused on that 2 seed. They want that bye. They want to be able to set up that pitching. So I think they've already surpassed that, Chris. And they were sitting in at the end of July, 54 and 48, 3 games back of the Brew Crew. And now they are 9.5 games up, 81 and 56. They just ran off an incredible August. They started off September incredibly hot. We've talked about how complete this team is, and like they're hitting their stride right now. So I guess you can compare them to the Braves as far as like, hey, like, they were just average the first part of the season, and then later in the season they took off. So I guess you can say that about them, but I don't think they're going to walk into the playoffs like a team that nobody's really looking towards a World Series. Like they're ready to go.
I agree to from one standpoint. You look at and you say, well, where's their weakness right now? And they don't have a ton of them. Maybe they don't have that bona fide guy that can go against a Jacob deGrom, a Max Fried. They've got really, really good starting pitching. And I thought the 2 trades they made for the left-handers in Quintana and Montgomery those have been as big as any moves at the deadline. But if you still have a draft for National League teams to represent that league into the World Series, they're going 4th.
Sure.
And that's what I'm talking about. It was the same thing with the Braves. Like, we knew they were hot the last 6 weeks of the season a year ago. But a lot of people even picked the Brewers to take care of them in the divisional round, right? Last year.
Well, because we were talking about the bullpen was just so bad for them down the stretch. And we're wondering how they're going to get past that in the playoffs. And obviously we know what happened. They went lights out. The night shift showed up, baby. Yeah. But I don't know. The Cardinals, to me, the reason I think they're a little different and why they don't need to match up with a DeGrom. I think they have guys that can pitch fine against teams like that, but their offense is so good. They have a couple guys that just don't care who they face. Arenado and Goldschmidt, like those guys there don't care who they face. And that attitude permeates throughout the team. If you have these guys that they don't give a shit who's on the mound, well, then neither do I. And that helps a lot when you have guys like that.
So last year, the Braves bullpen, you just talked about them. They were striking out everybody left and right, it felt like. That is the one area. The Cardinals have the second fewest strikeouts, I think, of any bullpen in baseball. So maybe that's a little bit of what scares me, because you need swing and miss when you rely that much on the bullpen in the postseason. And inevitably, every team does, because the manager's like, oh, my God, do I make the move? Do I not make the move? So they got that. And just to put a period on last night's game, do you know that teams were a combined 0 and 817 this year when they trailed by at least 4 runs going into the ninth? That's the first win this year we've had of that kind.
And they had great at bats the entire inning. And then Tommy Edman, I thought he said something cool. He's like, we were down runs, so we were being patient at the plate, taking a lot of first pitch strikes. They're pumping in fastballs. He goes, as soon as that tying run got on base, he's like, I'm not taking a fastball. I'm not getting behind the count. Jumps on the first pitch, hits it over the left fielder's head, and they win the game. I mean, that's the kind of baseball they're playing right now. Like, they're understanding the situation. And I don't necessarily love taking a strike late in the game. In fact, as a player, I hated it. I thought it was the dumbest thing you could do. It looks great when it works, though. And that's kind of what happened last night. Patient, got runners on. When you're in that position in the dugout, that's what you keep saying. Hey, get one guy on, see what happens. Yep. They got one guy on, they got another guy on, and then bam, before you know it, the league is now 1 and 895 in those situations.
817, but who's counting?
Whatever.
Hey, do you know what time it is?
I do.
It's time to get yourself a brand new watch, thanks to our friends at Vincero Collective. And today, not only do I want you to get the best looking watch in your entire neighborhood, I want you to save some cash as well. So you can go to VinceroCollective.com, use the code word today. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping site-wide. It is their exclusive offer they got going. Let me tell you a little bit about these watches. We got some fresh ones. Plouffe's wearing his. I'm wearing mine. Neither of us have been big watch guys over the years, but Michelle even said, why don't you wear a watch when we go out? Whether we're dressed up or not dressed up, Vincero Collective, they got the perfect timepiece for you, okay? It looks great whether you're wearing a suit to a nice outing or you're just going out to dinner with the missus or that's somebody special in your life. They've got affordable watches. They've also got sunglasses, jewelry, and much more. There's 3 words that come to mind when we're talking about Vincero Collective: stylish, quality, versatility. Those are things you need in your repertoire. And don't just take our word for it. They've got over 30,000 5-star reviews. They've been featured in Forbes, in Business Insider, in Newsweek, and oh so much more. They've got different bands. They've got different faces. They've got different looks. So whatever style you want, Vincero Collective is there for you. Once again, that is VinceroCollective.com. You spell that VINCERO Collective.com. Use the code word today. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping site-wide. Go check it out today. You know what else I checked out last night? The Sweet City Connected uniforms that the Padres were wearing. Some people don't like them. I like them. I dig them.
They've grown on me. They've grown.
Yeah. They won a series against the Diamondbacks, thanks in part to Yu Darvish, who wasn't at his best last night, but good enough to get the W. Recently, I don't know if you saw this, but in his previous start, he picked up his 3,000th career professional strikeout between here in the States and over in Japan. Now, it's been a decade since he first graced us with his presence in Major League Baseball. Came over with a ton of hype. Has he lived up to it?
Oh, it's such a tough question for me to answer because you knew this one was going to be tough for me.
But I think it's a good one.
It is, because I remember when he came over. I mean, it was a big deal. This was like a rock star coming over. We had, I'm trying to think of other big debuts that I've seen, like Bryce Harper's debut. I think it was in Los Angeles. He hits like a triple helmet flying off. That was cool. I remember watching that live. Strasburg against the Pirates at home was electric. But then Darvish comes over, and it just felt a little bit different. He already established himself in Japan. He's coming over, and a lot of times we like to think, MLB is the greatest baseball product in the world, and it is. It's the best league there is. And I love when guys come over here from overseas and try to prove themselves at this level. I don't know if he's lived up to the hype because we hyped him up so much, Chris. I don't think that he necessarily has, but this guy's had an incredible career. You just mentioned 10 plus years in the show over here, and he's been remarkably like consistent. And I think that's really good. I don't know if he's lived up to the hype. I think he's made 4 All-Star teams, Cy Young 2 twice in his career.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'll say about Yu Darvish. And this you can't say about a lot of pitchers in the big leagues. Every time he steps on the mound, he has a chance to throw a no-hitter. Like he has no-hit stuff. And I still believe that's true today. Like every time he goes up there, he can manipulate the baseball and make it do certain things that not a lot of guys can do. Like he almost approaches pitching a little bit differently than a lot of these pitchers in the big leagues. So I guess to answer your question, I don't think he lived up to the hype, but I do believe he's been an incredible pitcher. I know he's a great teammate, a great person. He made me look silly once. And one of his best highlights is on one of his Ephus curveballs. I could have swung twice at it. I'm sure there's plenty of clips out there if you want to go laugh at
the old
me.
cartoon. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hate saying that because I think he's had an incredible career, but I think we hyped him up so much that I don't know if he lived up to that expectation.
You know, I think he's had a good career.
Yes.
A very good career. I think that the sticking point is probably that World Series in 2017 where now everybody knows that we believe he was tipping his pitches and all that sort of stuff. And the Game 7 start where he went 2 innings or whatever it was. And George Springer's taking him deep all over the place, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's what sticks in everybody's mind. And I don't know if that's fair. You know, obviously everything gets so magnified in October, and particularly when it's Game 7 of a World Series. But I think he's been really good. I think he's been entertaining. You know, he didn't come over. It was Dice K that came over with the gyro ball and like 8 different pitches. But I do remember Darvish had like a bunch of different pitches. And I talked to some guys in the Rangers organization. They loved him from the first minute he got there. And then I think what year was it that he missed? 2014 or 15? He had Tommy John. He missed an entire
2015,
season.
He missed the year.
Okay. Yeah, but then he bounced back. He kind of like recreated himself a little bit with the Cubs, right? I thought he was bad in the beginning, and then from the second half, like the last year and a half of his time there, he really kind of took off and reestablished himself in a new league and all that sort of stuff. So I think he's been good.
Answer your question, bro. Answer your question.
I think he's been hype-ish. I think he's been good enough in the hype category.
What does that even mean,
I didn't think he was gonna win 3 Cy Youngs.
He almost did.
But he's competed for Cy Youngs. I know he's competed. As you said, he finished runner-up twice. Or as you like to say, Cy Young 2.
Cy Young 2. 5-time All-Star, by the way. I said 4 times. A 5-time All-Star. Okay. I don't know if that makes a difference, but
no, it doesn't. Although with pitchers, I take it in play a little bit more because sometimes you just don't know positional strength from year to year when it comes to All-Star. Yes.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I don't think this is a stretch to say that he had a much better career than Dice K.
Yes. Dude, I could not watch Dice K pitch. I couldn't
long games.
I could not watch him. I don't know him, so it's not like I can't say I couldn't watch him pitch because it took forever. Yu Darvish, let's go. Plus, he's huge. He is an enormously large man.
Yeah, and good looking too. Like I like Yu Darvish a lot,
dude,
man.
Do you remember when like in the beginning of his career, there was some modeling that I think had done in Japan where he was like maybe in just his underwear or something, and that made its way over to the States.
Love that. Love that. Why is everyone afraid to model in their underwear? You know, it's just your body.
Hey, I'm with you. If I had a decent body working it was funny, you know, we're getting ready for the NFL season. I told Brady yesterday as I saw a picture of Myles Garrett. I said, if I had Myles Garrett's body, I would never wear a shirt. I just wouldn't. Wouldn't care if it was 8 degrees out.
Who's the best Japanese pitcher to come over?
You could say Nomo. Nomo threw 2 no-hitters, including one at Coors Field. Like, he was freaking nasty, dude.
I used to love going to watch him pitch at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. So Nomo, and Darvish is probably
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say
you know
Darvish
who's,
is up there, right?
you know
Yeah,
who's making his way.
yeah. Darvish eclipsed Nomo in WAR already.
Did he?
By almost 10. How long did Nomo pitch for? Quite a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he was
12
really good.
years.
I enjoyed watching him pitch.
I think
His delivery
Darvish
was
is. I think it's
very different.
Darvish. It's Darvish.
I mean, you can make an argument for it. It's not. Nobody's gonna be like,
Who are we
really?
forgetting? Who are we forgetting? There's nobody, right?
No. Who was the closer up
Tanaka,
in
of
Seattle?
course. Dan's here.
Yeah, he was great. He was really
Iwakuma.
solid. No. Closer up in Seattle.
FaceTime. I'm trying to think what his name is too.
Yeah, Dan, you can help us out with that. It was like 20 years ago. He was a good pitcher. All right. Let's do this. We've been so hyper focused on the races as we should be. And the Judge versus Ohtani and the Judge versus home run race and Paul Goldschmidt and the Triple Crown. And all those topics will be talked about over the last 3.5 weeks of the season. But there are some guys that have had outstanding performances on teams that haven't been great. So right now, let's throw a little shine on somebody out there that's on a losing team that we haven't spent a lot of time on. I don't want to talk about Trout. I don't want to talk about Ohtani. We talk about those guys. Give me a name that we probably haven't even mentioned on this show more than twice all year.
I was going to say, I think we've mentioned this name on the show before. I'm familiar with this guy. It's probably why I went with him. He also is having a really good year, and I think he's picked it up the last 2 years and established himself as one of the better power hitting people in the big leagues. I'm going with CJ Cron.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I
thought you were looking at me like you picked the same person. Okay.
No,
CJ
that would
Cron
have been amazing, by the way,
it would
if
have
we
been.
had picked the same player on a shitty team. Okay.
CJ Cron, clearly on the Rockies, they stink. Here's the thing about CJ Cron and about ball players. We love 30 and 100. As a hitter, that is still the benchmark. 30 homers and 100 RBIs. If you get there, Chris, you're feeling saucy. Okay. That's very hard to do. And CJ has been close a couple different times. He has hit 30. In 2018, he hit 30, but only 74 RBI. Okay. And then last year, he hits 28 homers, 92 RBI with the Rockies. This year, he's sitting at 26 homers with 90 RBI with about how many games left? 20 games left. So there's a possibility that he gets there. He's got an 800 OPS right now, 905 last year, 894 the year before. I mean, this guy's establishing himself as one of the better power hitters that we don't talk about. And he's setting himself up for some big money too, which is cool. I don't know if he's going to get big long-term money, but he's earning big one-year deals for the foreseeable future if he keeps to bang like this. So CJ, keep going, brother. I love it.
I thought the Rockies missed out on a chance to trade him. I had him going to the Brewers in the whole Rose rotation trade fantasy show. I thought he would have been a perfect fit there. There's a lot of teams that could have used some right-handed pop down the stretch that didn't end. I didn't know what the Rockies were doing at.
They could trade him this offseason.
Anyway.
They got him next year locked up for $725. So
yeah, that's very reasonable for a guy who can muscle the ball.
I thought he was a free agent after this year, but he has one more year in Colorado, so he's not making the big bucks with this performance. But he's setting himself up, man. Like, this is a guy that teams are going to look to fill needs and holes in their lineup for quite some time to come.
My guy gets overshadowed on his own team because one of his teammates hasn't given up a run in like a month. Zach Gallen's been great. We've talked about him. Merrill Kelly is an amazing story. Last 2 years, you've been able to plug him right in that Diamondbacks rotation. And this year, he has been really, really good. ERA under 3. He's not a big strikeout guy, like a little bit over 7 per 9 innings. Not a strikeout dude. Doesn't throw hard. Gets contact. But you know what? That's okay. He's democratic. Doesn't like to do it all on his own. You don't have to do it my way. We'll all spread the wealth here. So I'm happy for him. His WAR is in the 4s. 33 years old, didn't make his major league debut till he was 30. He spent 4 years discovering himself over in the KBO. I love those stories. I'm happy for him.
I do too.
Yeah. So, Merrill Kelly, tip of the cap to you.
I almost went Zach Gallen, but I thought we kind of talked about him enough
have
on this
talked about
show. I
I would
also
have
love when
rejected that
guys.
offer.
Okay. I like when guys go overseas and find something and come back. You know, Michaelis is another one that has
Yep.
done that. It's cool. So he does that, learns some new tricks, if you will, then comes over, and Brent Strom all of a sudden is his pitching coach. And here we go. We have a career year. And I like that, man. I didn't really want to give a starting pitcher any credit. You know that. So I'm glad you did.
Can we give an opening, a first pitch, some credit?
I haven't seen this yet, so I want to see it. Oh my
That's
goodness.
John Daly, 55 years old, wearing some freaking Cardinals shorts before the Nats Cards game and just throwing a seat. He didn't like take a breath. He just walked out of the mountain and fired it.
That's insane, Chris. He walked like you didn't even care at all. Like most people are very nervous about the first pitch. John Daly probably had a heater in his mouth when he threw that thing. I can't really see. He
didn't.
have. Oh, he
No,
didn't.
he
Okay.
didn't, unless it was hidden in his Santa Claus beard. So Daly apparently did play baseball in high school for a little while. I mean, you know, he's got
What
it.
does
He
that
can
mean?
Throw it. What do you
A lot
mean?
of people play
Like,
baseball in high school and will be very nervous as they let first pitch out. John Daly does not give a shit.
I'm just saying it's not the first time he's picked up a baseball. Because for
Okay.
some people,
Okay.
Timmy Trumpet, it was their first time picking up a baseball. That's all I'm
Jerry Seinfeld is blaming Timmy Trumpet for this little Mets
saying.
collapse.
I know. Stop.
Come on, Jerry.
Well, that's his act. By the way, I partied with John Daly one time.
How was that?
Yes.
Did you
Oh my
smoke a
God.
heater? Yes.
I might have. It was on a boat in Miami, Super Bowl 41, Colts Bears.
Wow.
That was one of those trips that I was having so much fun. I had to move my flight up. I had to get out of there or I wasn't going to make it. But it was incredible. I went to a party and there's Bernie Kosar, like one of my childhood heroes, Browns quarterback in the 80s. And he's like, Chris, what's going on? I'm like, hey, Bernie. He's like, come on, let's come on the boat. I was like, okay. So I get on the boat. There's John Daly smoking heaters and hammered out of his gourd. I was like, I think I got to stay for this one.
Hey, kids, smoking heaters is not cool. Okay. It's just kind of funny
cool.
because John Daly is who John
Right.
Daly is.
He's amazing. You know, he's probably going to live till he's like 95.
Yeah, that was an impressive first pitch. I was expecting something a little bit different. Like maybe he got lucky with a strike. He hammered that thing.
He sure did. That was
Is he a
good.
Cardinals fan? Like what's the deal with that?
You know, he's from Arkansas. He went to school in Arkansas. So
Of course you would know
could
that. Why do you
definitely
know
be-
everything about sports, man? I love it.
Well, that's kind of what I've done for a living. Do you remember where he won the PGA championship in 1991 when he had to drive like 14 hours overnight as the fifth or sixth alternate?
No.
It's one of the most amazing golf stories ever. He won it in Crooked Stick in Indiana. He drove overnight because he was an alternate for the PGA championship. Got the call, hopped in his car, drove up there. I think he borrowed a caddy and ended up freaking winning the thing, hitting the ball a gazillion miles. Everybody's like, this is the best thing ever in golf. So
Good for him. Is he
good for
loaded?
him. I don't think so. He's had a lot of trouble, a lot of issues. Yeah, a lot of issues. All right, what do you have coming up on John Boy?
We have our all JM team that Jake and I and BBD picked. A lot of people are mad at us that we didn't mention or talk about Big Dumper Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners. So there's some controversy there, but we picked some good players, and I think that people will enjoy our picks. So go check that out, and then tomorrow we will do the series recap of the games that have been this week. What about you?
Okay. Speaking of the Seattle Mariners, Eric Swanson out of their bullpen joins me. Latest episode of the Rose Rotation is out. He's very funny. Dude lives in Fargo, North Dakota by choice in the off season. We talk a lot about whether or not I could survive as an outdoorsman. That was kind of a funny discussion.
You could,
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
because you got
I
a
got
lot
the
of
good beard.
Yeah, and you got like some stuff stored up. You could live off of that for a while.
You think that's
That's
funny,
what they
don't you?
do. That's what they do on these shows.
You were happy with yourself on that one. I want you to take it back and think about what you said and go sit in the corner.
Hey, I posted you on IG last night. We're golden.
I saw that. That was sweet.
Yeah.
That was a cute picture.
Cute
it really
pic.
was. It was heartwarming. It was. And I was very proud to have been the first one. I wasn't a swipe right guy. I was right there front and center. That was sweet. We are back at it again on Friday for our amazing producer, the one and only Dan Rourke. That is Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Friday on Baseball Today.